Good morning, everybody. Hi, thanks so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and the School of SweetGeorgia, and this is the live office hours that we do every month, once a month. It's usually the last Thursday of every month, but this week it's a little bit earlier in the month. But thank you guys all for being here. I'm really excited to share with you guys all of the things that are in today's session. So if you can't stay for the entire session, that's totally fine. We always archive these, and these become available for everybody inside the School of SweetGeorgia to watch at any time. And you can see here, Greta's on the call here, Vicky, Bridget are all on the call. They're all from the team, and they are ready here in the chat room to help you with any information that we might need to pass on to you guys as well. So very excited to see you guys all here. I see Nina from Germany, Brenda from Pennsylvania, Janet from Dawson Creek, Shuen. We have Lily from Southern Oregon, Gretchen. Thank you guys so much all for being here. It is wonderful to always see you guys in the chat here. So we do have lots of things to talk about today. So I want to go and start sharing with you guys what we have to talk about today. So let's start with this. You can see here, this is my lovely photo of my Overshot project that is going on right now. This is an Overshot sampler that I'm working on right now for an upcoming course that we're going to put on the school about Overshot weaving. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, really. I'm trying to make it really, really understandable. But this particular photo, I'm really, really excited to see happen because this is actually my hand spun yarn. So it is BFL and silk hand spun yarn that I'm using as pattern weft in here. And so really excited to see this further develop, and then I can share that with you guys in the coming months. But this is what we're talking about today. We usually have a bit of an agenda in terms of like what's happening sort of top of mind, what are the latest updates, what's happening inside the school, what coming events do we have, and then we talk a little bit about the community and where we're able to share and connect and all that kind of stuff. And we did not get any Q&A questions this session, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the chat, and then we'll come and we'll talk about them as they come up. And then finally, the most exciting part of these sessions is really the share your win section, where I get an opportunity to share the things that you have created, share them with the rest of our SOS community so that everybody can see what you're working on and all the progress that everyone is making. It's really quite phenomenal. It's absolutely my favorite part of this whole session as well. So first, let's talk about sort of what is top of mind, what we're doing inside the school, what is changing, what is evolving, all of those kinds of things. So the first thing that I wanted to share about was that we are going to start posting and publishing patterns, our SweetGeorgia patterns that are typically paid patterns for anybody who is wanting to knit a knitting pattern or crochet pattern. We're starting to release these patterns, and they're going to become complimentary and part of the SOS membership. So if you are already a member, you can start going to the website, to the SOS website, and you'll start to see SweetGeorgia patterns being published in there that you can download and you can use. These are going to become part of your membership. And part of this is because we want to be able to provide you with more projects to make with the skills that you're learning inside the school. So in this case, the first one that we are re-releasing here is the Tum or Dume shawl that is designed by Tabitha Hedrick. This one actually uses 3 skeins of DK weight yarn. You can see here we're using 2 in a very bold, vibrant pink color and 1 in sort of like a tangerine orange colored. And so there is both fisherman's rib. So you can see, if you can see where my cursor is here. Oh, here. Cursor is here. This pink part is fisherman's rib, looks a little bit like brioche, and then up here is garter stitch, and then we have here garter stripes, colored garter stripes. So obviously here we have used like our SweetGeorgia DK weight yarn. It's a superwash merino yarn. You could use anything. You could use 2 skeins of sock yarn held together to get the same weight. You could use your own hand spun yarn, which is what I really encourage. I would love to see this particular shawl knit in people's hand spun yarns. Do it with a very vibrant color and with a neutral color. There's lots of different things that you can do. So I think that this is a great canvas to play with color combinations. And so this is part of the reason why we're releasing it here. But yeah, I would love to see more and more projects. We're going to release more and more patterns inside the school, so that way you guys will be able to see them and try them. And it gives you much more value as being part of the school as well. So very excited about that. So um, yes, fantastic. Looking forward to this. Yes. Shattered Sun is my very first pattern I purchased years ago with the intent of learning to knit lace. Yay! Yeah, Shattered Sun. I'm very excited about that one too. That was the first shawl that I designed, I think. It was a half pie shawl, and I'd always meant to rewrite the instructions to make it a full pie shawl, but just never had the time to get around to doing that. So maybe we'll do that and then re-release that inside the school as well for you. So in any case, that is one of the developments that we have been looking at. The next development is that we talk about this quite often, but we do have a lot of courses on the school, a lot of courses. And I counted yesterday, and we're at 99 right now. It's almost 100 classes. I know that when you come into the school, I know many of you might be also new to the school, or if you've been with us since 2017 when we started the school, it can feel a little bit overwhelming, the number of topics that there are to explore in the school. By no means are we asking every member to consume or watch every single course. That would be a lot. We make all of these courses in all of these different fiber arts areas so that you can explore each area in greater depth. So if you're interested in spinning, then we can take you from absolutely the very beginning of spinning to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to becoming more intentional, to becoming closer to the source of the fiber that you're working with. There's so many different nuances and so many different things that we can do within the idea or the topic of spinning. And it's the same, like if you are interested in tapestry, we can take you from the very beginning of tapestry and further into each one of these rabbit holes. And so we know that somebody who's interested in fiber arts might be interested in all of these different topics, but you don't have to do them all at the same time. I feel really strongly that we all need time to absorb the knowledge, to digest it, to just marinate with it, sit with it, experiment with it, and explore more of the tools and the techniques that we're talking about. So even like I have a loom that's right behind that bobbin rack there. I have my Louette spring loom. It has been tied up with a double weave sampler since last October. It's been almost a year, but there's still a double weave sampler on there, even though I finished filming and teaching the course and we released a course on double weave weaving at the beginning of this year. So even me, I'm still trying to explore what can I do with this double weave on 4 shafts. And I'm trying to do double weave pickup. I'm trying to explore a little bit with those kinds of things. They take time. It takes all of this stuff takes time to do. And so we really, as the SOS team here, we really want to encourage everybody to kind of slow down and enjoy each one of these areas more deeply. You don't have to watch every single course that comes out. Just, explore the ones that are most interesting to you right now, and then take time to experiment and try the projects, try the skills and techniques. Even take like projects that we suggest, make a super narrow warp and just do a little bit rather than making a sampler of like even 100 ends. Make it with 40 ends and experiment and see if that works out for you and see what you can learn from that kind of thing. The other thing that we're starting to find is that more and more we are getting really a lot and really good conversation that's happening on the Discord channel. And so Discord is one of the spaces that we've created to allow community to gather and connect and talk about different things that they're working on. So right now there's a lot of chat in the Discord about the MCAL, the mystery knit along that we're hosting with Sweet Georgia. There is the Tour de Fleece stuff that was happening in July, a lot of conversation around that. And I think a lot of that spinning conversation has also morphed a little bit into a weaving with hand spun conversation, which is also on Discord right now. We are going to be working towards a weave along this fall. And so there's a lot of people who are spinning with the intention of potentially weaving with it later on. So all of this is just to say that like we're trying to reinforce this idea of like slowing down the pace, slowing down overall the pace so that we can all take a little bit more time to enjoy what we're making and explore more deeply. So really, it is just to reassure you that if you feel like there's a lot of content, don't worry, you don't have to do it all at one time. Take it one bit at a time, explore, enjoy at your own pace. So that is one thing that we're thinking about. The next thing that I wanted to release to you guys was this new idea. This is a brand new idea that we are sort of working with. And I wanted to share with you guys the idea. You guys are the very, very first people that I'm sharing this idea with. And it's really just so that I can get a little bit of feedback from you, a little bit of some brainstorming around this. Let me know if you think that this is a good idea. But anyways, the idea is that we want to start a monthly subscription box for fiber arts and crafts designed for young makers who are about 10 years old and up. It could be from, like 7 or 8 years old with parental, involvement, but for a young person who wants to make things independently, maybe about 10 years old and up. And so this is a monthly subscription box where we can hopefully teach a skill like knitting or crochet or needle felting, sashiko, embroidery, punch needle, just a lot of different kinds of fiber arts skills and crafts. And then at the same time, we want to couple it with the idea of teaching things like science and culture and context of the craft as well. So things like, I'm thinking about talking about wool. What are the properties of wool? What are the characteristics of wool? How can we talk about, plying for tensile strength? How can we talk about elasticity? How can we talk about insulation properties? How can we talk about lots of things around why wool works for things, why cotton works for things, why certain natural fibers work for things? We can talk about the science. We can talk about where these materials come from. We can talk about how they're grown, how they are sourced, all of these different things. These are all topics that we can introduce to young people, not just the act of making something, but also the context in which it all happens, so that younger people can have more of an awareness of where textiles come from, where these natural materials come from, how our cloth is created, what goes into any of this. So so this idea of really craft meets STEAM. So STEAM, it comes from STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And so STEAM is basically STEM plus arts. So the A stands for arts. And so I'm trying to find a way that we can somehow make the idea of fiber arts very, very relevant in this day and age. Like, how do we teach more people about why arts and crafts are relevant? Why do we do arts and crafts? And then also, why might we want our kids to learn about arts and crafts? And why would we want them to do it too? Is it useful? Is it a good use of their time? And I feel like it is a good use of their time. It allows people to develop, ideas, be able to innovate, be able to build, be able to design in the future. All of these skills and ideas I think are really, really important. But how do we teach our kids? And especially since a lot of that teaching, arts teaching, home ec teaching, a lot of those kinds of, that kind of curriculum is being removed from the public school system. So what can we do in this way to help kids in their future? So anyways, part of this idea came because we did this fiber arts camp for kids this past summer in July. And I watched this group of kids who are everywhere from ages 7 to about 14 years old. And they experienced all sorts of things in that week. They learned how to knit, they learned how to crochet, they learned how to spin yarn with a Turkish drop spindle, they learned how to needle felt, they learned how to wet felt, they learned how to ice dye with fiber reactive dyes. And then they learned how to combine the different crafts into all of these, like they combine them together. So you could like knit a thing and then stuff it with fiber and then needle felt onto it, and just so many different ways. And I was so impressed because all the kids could do it. They could do it and they loved it. They enjoyed the time. And so I feel really strongly that like we're focused so much on education and creating amazing educational content for everybody. I would love to be able to bring that to also like a younger audience, so that we have makers who experience this lifelong journey of making. I know I started, knitting and crocheting when I was about grade 4, grade 5, around the same age. And I know many of you guys also were exposed to craft at a young age. So being able to bring more people into this world that we all love, I would love to see more of this. So in any case, I have a little QR code which will take you to a link about it. I have there's a little URL here at the bottom as well that you can go to. And all of this is just if you are interested, if you think that this is something that you know somebody who has kids who might be interested in learning how to knit or learning how to crochet, learning how to needle felt, learning how fiber works, I would love for you to sort of sign up and let me know what you think about this idea. Yeah, and I think I see a lot of comments here about, yeah, STEM and STEAM environment having taught there. Students have to become so brave to experiment. It's an awesome way to support love of fiber. Yeah, and very accessible way to the next generation. So I see so many wonderful comments here already, a lot of good feedback. There's a lot of things that we need to consider um, in creating something like this. And so uh, I feel like we should move forward in this direction, but I'm also seeking a lot of feedback, and I would love to just see what you think. Love to see what you what kind of ideas you have, and then kind of move forward with all of this. But this is the rough idea. This is a rough idea of where we can go with all of this. And again, one of the things is just it's a monthly kit. Everything is delivered, all the supplies, all the tools, everything is inside the box, everything that you need. We also really want to focus on making sure that we are including natural fiber materials. So everything should be yeah, natural fibers. Natural fibers. I think that goes without saying so that people can understand what these fibers are and put your hands on them. Obviously, we're going to have a little workbook in there, a little booklet with photos. We are experienced with making videos, so we can do video tutorials and hopefully doing video tutorials with kids and their hands and seeing how it can be done. Hopefully that can be really inspiring to other kids as well. So yeah, just putting it out there into the universe and wanting to hear a little bit about what you think about this, if you think this might be interesting, if you might sign up for this, or if you might sign someone else up for this. So yes, please do let me know what you think about all of this idea. So that's that. Now, for our latest updates inside the school of Sweet Georgia, I wanted to share with you guys that the spin-in clinic that we released a couple of weeks ago, we actually just uploaded the update to that. And that is that Kim McKenna, who taught this spinning clinic class, she also hosted a Zoom Q&A session where she actually worked individually with participants on the call and looked at their spinning and all these kinds of things and answered questions and gave feedback and hopefully allowed people to progress a lot with their spinning. So that course has been updated with the Zoom replay. So you can go ahead and watch that and hopefully learn some new things about your spinning. I know that I improved when I learned from Kim, absolutely. So I would love to see you guys also have that experience of improving your spinning with the information that Kim's presented. The next thing is I wanted to remind you that the Spinning Luxury Fibers module on goat fiber, so that's mohair, that has come out with Rachel Smith, and that was also recently just released on the school as well. So you can go ahead and find that there. And upcoming on September 6th, it's a Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so that's noon Pacific Standard Time, we are doing a presentation with Laura Fry. Laura Fry has been coming to us every other month to present a topic about weaving. And so she presents from her home in Prince George, BC, and she's presenting on Zoom. We would love for you to come. Obviously, this one is going to be about color in weaving, how to choose colors in weaving, how color affects weaving. So this one, I'm very, very excited to hear about as well. So you can see here, the background photo here is a color gamp that she's shared in her presentation. How do colors interact? How can you experiment with that? And how can you make decisions about what you choose for your hand-woven cloth? So this live lecture, if you cannot make it for that particular time, you can absolutely watch it at a later time. All of these live lectures with Laura Fry are recorded and they're all kept inside the school. So you can go back and watch any of the other presentations that she's given. They are somewhat not necessarily sequential, but they do sort of build on each other. So, Laura talks about everything from the foundations of how to design your cloth, what is the function, what do you need it to do, lots of considerations about that. And so this lecture is going to be about considering color as part of that as well. This next one is the one that we are editing right now and should be ready very shortly. But this is the one where Tabitha came to Vancouver and she recorded a course with us on knitting 2 at a time socks, TAAT socks. Last year when we did Socktober, people kept asking us for a class on 2 at a time socks so that you don't have the situation of finishing one sock and then not ever knitting the second sock. And that's called second sock syndrome, where you just avoid making the second sock because you're bored or bored or tired of making the second one. And so the second one never happens. And so you only have all these single socks everywhere. So rather than that happening, if you knit them both at the same time, then you'll have a finished pair of socks when you're done. And so this is the technique for how to knit 2 at a time socks. So really, really excited to see that happen. This is actually, I believe she used a worsted weight yarn or DK weight yarn so that you could see the stitches a little bit better. You can see them bigger and easier to see and all that kind of stuff. But you can use the same technique for any weight of yarn. You can use it for any number of stitches. So that is all there as well. And then in October, we have this course coming out, the Color Work Mitts class with Caitlin Shepard. I am showing this because I love this photo. I just love this photo. So this is, she's used our BFL and Silk Fine colors. I believe that's birch. And I think she might have used, I'm not going to say. I can't remember exactly, so I'm not going to say. But she did use this beautiful color and knitting a Fair Isle or a color work, stranded color work pair of mittens to go with her course here. So that pattern is going to become available, and this course is going to become available very, very shortly as well. And finally, we have Crochet Amigurumi, which is another class that's going to be coming out before the end of this year. And this one is with Charlotte. And I'm really excited about this. You can just see all these beautiful little shapes that you can make. The shapes become the foundation for really anything that you want to make. If you want to make a cute little turtle, if you want to make a cute owl, if you want to make my daughter is very into axolotls right now. She wants everything to be an axolotl. So I'm sure that there's a shape in here that could be somehow converted into an axolotl. So this is something that I'm hoping that you guys will find some joy in working with, because Charlotte has been teaching all of our crochet classes since the very beginning. And so if you don't know how to crochet, she can teach you from the very start of this is how you make the chain stitch. This is how you hold a crochet hook. This is how you do single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet. She does all the flats. She does increases. And now this is making three-dimensional shapes with the crochet knowledge that you have. So very excited for this to come out as well. So these are all the courses that are coming out before the end of this year. Now, for upcoming events, I want to share with you, we made a couple tiny changes to the calendar. So our calendar was starting to get more and more full. And so what we did was we made a little separate calendar called the Coworking calendar, so that you can see all of the co-working sessions that we have hosted. And those are all now in purple. So there's a number of different categories of our school events. So this teal blue color here that's right here, that color is for the live lecture that's going to be with Laura. So that's happening on September the 6th. And then all of these pink sessions, these are kind of like meetup sessions. So this is the knitting meetup that Robin hosts on Monday. And then we have a weaving and spinning meetup on Saturdays that is hosted by Vicky. And then we do at the last Thursday of every month, we do this thing, which is the live office hours. And then on the second Friday of every month, I also do a live stream Taking Back Friday on the YouTube channel. And that's available for the public. And we just talk about all sorts of things that we're making and doing and all sorts of things like that. So those are kind of the events that are happening throughout the month. And then sprinkled in there are these co-working sessions. So you can see every Friday at 1 p.m. there's going to be a co-working session. And then we've also added a couple of other co-working sessions. So there's Thursday evening is with Charlotte, and in that case, she will likely be crocheting something, so you can hang out with her if you want to make anything. You can bring any project. Really, yeah, you can bring any project. And then Monday, the third Monday of every month, Greta is going to be available to host something, and Greta is going to be doing some sort of fiber prep. Greta is hardcore spinner, loves spinning, and is going to be doing some fiber prep and all of that kind of stuff during that time that is designated for her co-working. So let's talk a little bit more about the co-working. What is the co-working session? If you have not yet come to one of the co-working sessions, basically what happens is we get together on Zoom. We spend the first 5 minutes maybe sharing a little bit about what we plan to make that day, what we're working on. It's very, very casual. It's very brief. If you don't want to share, that's totally fine as well. You can completely be silent for the entire session. The next 50 minutes are dedicated to quiet working time. So everybody goes on mute and then everybody just works on their project. And I know it sounds weird that we all just show up and we're working on our projects, and we would probably work on our projects anyways, but you would be surprised that the co-working session and committing to showing up for the co-working session makes the time happen. I know that for myself, my schedule is like a lot of running around, it's quite busy. And so if I didn't commit to making this time, I would not actually have this time to do it. So I feel like it's actually very, very important. So if you can spare the time, 1 hour a week, come and make something with us. So 50 minutes of quiet making time. And then the last 5 minutes, everybody just turns back on their microphones, and then you can just share a little bit about what you accomplished, what you did, all of that kind of stuff. And I do want to mention that this link for the live co-working sessions, that Zoom link is open all day long. So if you meet somebody inside the community or in the forums or on Discord and you're like, oh, these co-working sessions don't really work for me at the time that they're being hosted. I want to meet at like 3 o'clock in the morning, because maybe that works for me. Maybe you want to meet at 3 o'clock in the morning too, or you're in a different time zone and it makes more sense. Then you can all arrange to show up in the Zoom room at the same time, and everybody will be able to be there. So that Zoom room link, it's open all the time. You can join anytime. None of it is recorded, so you can just go and hang out. So I've listed all of the other upcoming sessions here. There's one this coming Friday, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then all of these other ones. Now, I am not necessarily able to host every single Friday just because I'm traveling again. And then also, we have Knit City coming up. And so Friday is the setup day for Knit City. And so I won't be there on the 22nd, September 22nd, but Vicky will be there. And so we'll always make sure that somebody is there for that Friday session because it's a nice time to do things. So what else is coming up inside the school? The other thing that's coming up inside the school is we do these make-alongs. We do make-alongs throughout the year, but this one, September, we're going to do a spin along. Usually fall, September, we do a spinning thing, and October, we do a Socktober thing, like knitting socks in October. But September, we're going to do a spin along. So if you want, you can choose to spin for socks, choose to spin for a sweater, choose to spin to weave. Spinning with some sort of intentional purpose, I think, is maybe what this theme is. But basically, we're just going to be spinning. So we actually did start that new Discord channel for weaving with handspun. So many people are spinning right now to eventually weave with their handspun. You can, if you're interested, take a look back in through our catalog of courses and look at Rachel Smith's Spin to Knit Socks. I have a class called Spinning Intentional Color, which is about how to take fiber braids like this and break them up and then how to recombine them. Spinning Up a Level with Katrina Stewart also has a section about combo ply yarns and things like that, how to do color management. Actually, all three of those classes have information about color management in spinning. There's lots of courses that we do about color and spinning as well. So encourage you to kind of like look at those different courses, see if you might want to join us for more spinning. I feel like July Tour de Fleece spinning was more about spinning to get 10 minutes a day, just developing a practice of sitting down and spinning every day. The September spin along, I feel like, is going to be more about intentional spinning. Like, what are you spinning for? How can you design the yarn that you want at the wheel so that you get what you want at the end of the day in terms of your weaving or knitting or socks or whatever it is you're going to make. Now, these 3 braids that I'm showing here, I have 2 braids of Targhee in Beachside Brunch and 1 skein of Cordale in Trail Runner. And so one of the things that I want to experiment with is spinning more yarns for my circular sock knitting machine. So spinning yarn to make socks. And so I'm going to try some combo plied yarns. I'm going to maybe take 2 plies of the Targhee and 1 ply of Cordale and blend them together. And then 2 plies of Cordale and 1 ply of Targhee and then blend them together and see what happens in the knitting. Like, how does that affect the final knitted sock? Does it change the texture? Does it change the strength? Does it change lots of things? So a little bit of experimentation around that. And then I have that 3rd braid, the Targhee, like that 2nd braid of Targhee. I'm going to break it up and then do some different yarns for experimenting with sock yarn structure. So 3-ply yarn, 4-ply yarn, Hauser yarn, crepe yarn, a lot of the things that Rachel talked about in her class, Spin to Knit Socks. So experimenting with that side of things as well. So in any case, would love to hear if you guys are going to be spinning anything in September and what you might do with your yarn. The final thing I wanted to mention about all of this is the Knit City. Knit City is the fiber festival that happens every September in Vancouver. So this year it's going to be the 23rd and 24th, Saturday and Sunday of September. And so we're hosting a lounge that is going to have lots of fiber arts demos and stuff and hangouts in there. And so we're just nailing down the times right now. But the goal is to do sort of like a spinning meetup for SOS people on Saturday, and then more of a weaving sort of meetup with SOS members on Sunday. Of course, you can just show up and meet SOS members, I'm hoping, but we're going to have mostly like spinning demos and spinning things on the Saturday and mostly weaving things on the Sunday. And then we're going to have a couple of tables where anybody can come and learn to knit or learn to crochet, play with some yarn, all of that kind of stuff. And so all of these meetup times are going to be announced in email very, very soon. So if you are an SOS member and if you are in the Vancouver area, if you are planning to come to Knit City, I would love for you to come to the lounge and meet us and meet each other, meet instructors. We'd just like to come and see you in real life because that makes all the difference in the world. So just before I move off this photo is actually, well, this is me, but this is also Rachel, who is our instructor for such classes like the Spinning Luxury Fibres class, Spinning Silk, Spinning to Knit Socks. Rachel teaches a lot of spinning classes for us. And then this is Pearl. She has been a member with us since the very, very beginning. And she does not even live in Vancouver. She traveled to Vancouver to come to Knit City for this event. And so I'm going to show some of Pearl's projects later on today as well. But she's really dived into this whole rabbit hole of tapestry weaving as well. So very excited. This is a lovely photo. I'm really glad that we got to all see each other for this. Community stuff. Okay, so this is just a quick reminder that a lot of the conversation and a lot of the learning and the teaching and the sharing happens in the community. We always say that the school is 2 halves. One half is the courses, that's one side of things, but the other half is the community, and the community is massive. To be able to go in and post photos about things that you make, to get feedback from other people, to ask questions of other people and share knowledge, all of that stuff is happening in the community. So we have one venue for the community is the forums. So you can go to the SweetGeorgia, schoolofsweetgeorgia.com/community will get you into the community discussion forums. We also have, I'm going to skip forward. We also have the Discord chat, which I mentioned as well. And this one is more for like a broader community for all of Sweet Georgia. It might include members of the public, people who are not necessarily members of the school, but a lot of chat is happening inside the Discord as well about all these topics. You can post a photo, you can share. It's a little bit more quick because it's like a text app is really what it's more like. But you can see that if you are a member of the school, you can connect your school account to your Discord account. And so then your name gets highlighted in orange in the text, and then everybody can identify, oh, you're also a member of the school as well. So we have a couple of links here in case you want to learn more about the Discord, or if you want to join the Discord, all of that is there and available. Now, I want to go back for a second so I can share with you the groups. So the groups, these are topic specific areas of discussion where people are doing really deep dives into their learning. So a lot of sort of tests and experiments and just in-depth studies of a particular topic. People are putting their notes in these groups. So like say you're interested in working from fleece, specifically working from fleece, then you can start a thread and talk about everything that you're doing, about how you're washing a fleece, making your notes there, sharing that knowledge with other people, seeing what other people might have feedback about, all of these kinds of things. So we've so many different groups, you know, either if you're interested in crochet, if you're interested in rigid huddle weaving, if you're interested in natural dyeing, there is a group. Now, one of the things that we are hoping to do that will hopefully organically evolve more and more is that, like, if you're really, really interested in crochet and you want to actually gather a bunch of members who are also interested in crochet and say, hey, you know, we want to start a weekly meetup just for crochet people, or just for, you know, talking about crochet and our crochet projects, that kind of activity, that kind of organization, we would love for members to kind of become a leader of their group in that way. So if, say, you really love crochet and say, you just raise your hand, let us know you want to be kind of like a group leader and say, I would like to lead the group on crochet and organize people to gather with me every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and we're going to talk about crochet, something like that. Let us know if you're interested in something like that, because we would love to see each one of these subject areas evolve forward. So that is that. Okay, now let's go on to the most exciting part of the session, and that is the Share Your Win section. This is where we get to show what you guys have made. And this one, I got tagged on this one, and it is amazing and gorgeous. Look at this beautiful color wheel. It's amazing. So this one is by a member, Amanda, and she says, I'm so excited. Before taking these classes, I tried dyeing briefly, and it felt too haphazard. So I was overwhelmed and I gave up. But after watching the classes here, I felt that the math cleared things up, and I dyed 7 depths of shade for all 30 dyes that I have and made a few color wheels. And then I dyed my own 15 color GAMP for weaving. I think I'm finally getting it, and I'm so thrilled. So this is so exciting to see. So I put a link in here to Amanda's thread where she posted this about the color library, because she has more photos. And then the course that you would use if you wanted to do the same would be to go to the Dyeing Intentional Color class. It's sort of the foundation course for all of our dyeing work. And so that is the course where we explain how does it work, how do you mix a dye stock, how do you calculate dye stock percentages, how do you dye depths of shade, all of that kind of stuff is in that particular course. And so really excited to see this photo. Now, I did post a second of her photos because they were so cool. And so this is the depth of shade, like the scale. So you can see here, there's like in this green section, you can see light depths of shade all the way getting darker, 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 darker until the darkest depths of shade. And so it's the same for all of these other ones. There's a purple one, purple fade, there's another green fade, there's a red fade, there's like a orangey brown fade here. All of these things are from calculating the depths of shade required to dye each one of these samples. So this is a huge, huge amount of work. So congratulations, Amanda. This looks phenomenal. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. The next one is I have a couple of tapestry. There's quite a lot of tapestry activity happening inside the school. So this is by Tara C, and she is saying that she has a learning plan for the summer, I believe, start, but she's doing a lot of weaving on her learning plan. So that includes weaving with a Cricut loom, I believe, weaving with Tapestry loom. And so she made her own tapestry loom from a picture frame. And then she used 2 yarn needles rather than bobbins or butterflies to do her weaving. And so she was doing the meet and separate sample, or the meet and separate technique, practicing that. And then she says, but then she had to do the circle, and the circle, I guess, was very, very challenging, but it is looking fantastic. I mean, like, it is all happening. And so if you are also interested in tapestry, this is the course that I would suggest going to. It's the Fundamentals of Tapestry. It's the very first one that Jana teaches with us. And she demonstrates how does meet and separate work? What is the purpose of meet and separate as a technique for tapestry? And you can just progress along with all of that. Also, that idea of building shapes is also in that particular class. So Teresi says, I am on track with my plan. All is good. So Teresi has been posting, every couple of days her progress with learning tapestry. We also have one here by Nancy M. Oh, sorry. It was Nancy M, who's also working on a Cricut loom right now. So Nancy has also a learning plan going on. She has a Cricut loom that she's put together. She's made a scarf on it. She's waiting for a new heddle to do another scarf from the SOS class. She's working on a pin loom. And here she is doing a little bit of a tapestry weaving on this cactus loom. So I don't know if you can see, I was not familiar with cactus looms until I saw this photo, but you can see here there's like a spring here on the side of the loom. And then you can see this loom looks like it's lovely walnut wood or something like that. And then there's these little tines down here that are, there's these little tines down here that are holding her warp yarn. So cactus loom, it can be like this other kind of tapestry loom. I know we're very familiar with the Ashford loom. Schacht has a tapestry loom. Murex makes tapestry looms, but I'd never heard of cactus loom before. So in any case, she's done a 5 by 8 inch weaving on the cactus loom and practicing that as well. Lot of weaving going on right now. So that looks great, Nancy. Thank you for sharing that. And then more tapestry. This one is by Pearl. So Pearl said she's doing a gradation experiment with Array. That's a yarn from Gist. So Gist Yarns makes a tapestry yarn called Array that I believe is a blend of Corriedale and I think it might be Coopworth. But yeah, I think it's a Corriedale blend. And it's a finer yarn. You can use it, you can stack that yarn into multiple strands to weave thicker things. But I believe she's blending. So she's using 3 strands of Array blended together to do this great gradation effect. So this one is made out of just Array. And then she also posted a second one, which is made with Lamb's Pride. Lamb's Pride is, I believe, it's a worsted weight yarn. And so in that case, she's just using 1 strand of Lamb's Pride. But I think that this is very, very interesting. It looks fantastic. So many tapestry projects so far. Really love seeing this all come together. So congratulations on that. It looks fantastic. Next project is, I think, very interesting. We have not done anything with this kind of shuttle before, but this is woven by Kate, and Kate is experimenting with using a wave shuttle. So I believe it's like a stick shuttle, but rather than having a straight line to sort of beat with, I think it has a bit of a wave to it. And so Kate is using this wave shuttle to create a bit of texture in her cloth. And she says, I've experimented in the past with my wave shuttle, but like many weavers, found that the effect disappeared by the time I took my fabric off the loom and wet finished it. But after some research, I'm trying again. And so if you follow this particular thread, Kate has done a number of samples, and she is doing everything from weaving them and then wet finishing them, seeing what happens at the end of the day, and then noticing that the wet finished product still has these textural waves in them. And now she can do calculations to do a bigger project, to extrapolate it all out and make a bigger project. So it's such a cool effect. I could see like even using something like this for tapestry even. I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of room for experimentation, trying lots of different things. It looks beautiful, looks really fun. Like I can see a tiny little thumbnail version of this image on my computer screen, and it has such a cool effect. I could see it in a wall hanging, which is why I'm thinking about that. So that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us, Kate. Next up, we have a lot of spinning content. So spinning, this is Sarah's fourth ever skein of yarn. So she said, this is a big improvement from the first three, and I used tips from this course and some of the lessons in the Spin In Clinic, which is the one that's taught by Kim McKenna. And she says she used those techniques to improve her technique. She says, still a long way to go, but I feel that I am on the right path. And this one happens to be the Polworth and Silk fiber from SweetGeorgia. So fantastic. It looks wonderful. It looks really consistent for the fourth ever skein of yarn. I think is quite amazing. And again, here's the link to that Spin In Clinic if you're wanting to see that. This is the link to Sarah's post. The next one, this is actually a really good discussion. I posted this because the photo is lovely, and you can see here, this is Elena's hand-spun yarn here. Hand-spun yarn, and she's spinning lace weight. But the whole conversation that is listed at that thread is a conversation about if you're buying your first spinning device, should you buy a wheel or should you buy an e-spinner? What would be better? And so also a conversation about, yeah, it's like, should you get, yeah, basically what kind of wheel should you get? What kind of e-spinner might you be interested in? Just kind of exploring different ideas. And so the whole conversation is really about being able to try different things before you go ahead and purchase anything. So this is just one explanation from Elena saying that her EEW Nano is working really well for her, doing lace weight yarn. And the EEW6, which is also another e-spinner, also does very, very well. So something to just consider as you're looking at what you might want to invest in. Yeah, e-spinners are fantastic. I'm going to show you this one, which is also spun on an e-spinner. This one is also spun on the EEW6, I believe, and this one is spun by Juliet. So Juliet, if you follow this thread about spinning for CSM socks, if you follow this thread, you'll see that Juliet has spun all of these yarns while sitting on a boat. So that's why, like, it confirms how portable spinning can be. She's taken her sort of, believe it's a battery pack and her her EEW6 and is spinning all this 3-ply sock yarn on a boat while she's on vacation. And then she's going to use it to knit in her Gerhardt CSM. So she's an antique 1917 circular sock knitting machine. And so right now what she's working on is spinning the singles thin enough so that she can do eventually a 4-ply, again, for knitting socks. But you should look at the photos in the thread because it's very cute, because she's tied the fiber around the bobbins so that the bobbins don't all blow away. These are all the things that you have to consider if you're trying to spin in a location that's not your house. So in any case, she's saying that she has a Gerhardt with a 60 stitch cylinder and a 72 stitch cylinder, and she spun both 3-ply yarn and 4-ply yarn on the EEW6, and she's cranked it on the 60 stitch cylinder, and it's working great. So you can follow that thread to see more of the whole process, because Juliet will document everything from the fiber, what the fiber looks like, to what the singles look like, to what the plied yarn looks like, to then having cranked the socks and what do the socks look like at the end of the day. So there you can see Juliet's in the chat working on the next sock spin right now. It's fantastic. Yes, lovely. It's so inspiring to see everybody spinning for socks. It's because it's such a long process in some ways, but at the same time, I feel like it's so satisfying to see that hand-spun yarn knit up into a project. So here we have Elizabeth's project. Elizabeth is currently spinning to knit the Attune shawl, which is designed by Andrea Mowry. And so she's using a color called Cabin Fever by Nest Fibres. And so she says the more vibrant colors are merino, and then the softer blend. So I'm trying to point to these ones look like they're merino. They're the vibrant ones. And then the softer blend of the same color is BFL. So that, I believe, is this one here. I'm not sure if you can see that. And then the periwinkle color is also BFL. So it's a combination of BFL and merino being blended together in the plying. And said, this is my first time spinning BFL and it was wonderfully soft. And then this is all going to get plied together. So she says, I love purple and this should work out well as a main color. With this spin, I could visibly see how different breeds result in different effects of color. So you can see this is the same colorway being dyed on this probably superwash merino, and then with the BFL and how they look so different. So very, very excited. So she says rewinding and plying is next. And so hopefully we'll see photos of those plied yarns in this same thread. So you can follow the thread here, spinning for a shawl. Here we go. Next up, we have hand-woven towels. So I believe I showed Cindy's hand-woven towel, this one, in a previous live office hours, but I wanted to highlight for you here what she said here. She said, I learned to weave in March 2023 and have now entered some of my first projects into the Minnesota State Fair for judging. She says, I don't expect to win any ribbons, but I am excited to participate. I have entered in the orange plaid table runner made on a table loom and the green tea towel made on a floor loom. And so you can see that's the link to her post there. I would love for you to go and send her some encouragement and everything, because the judging day is actually today, the 24th of August. And so she says, I will update if I get any recognition. That's for the results of the state fair. But otherwise, this is awesome. The table runner, she says, is 3-2 cotton. The tea towel is 8-2 cotton and then 8-2 cotton for the weft. These are her very first projects. She just learned to weave in March 2023. And now she's also going to be at the fair doing a demonstration, a 4-hour weaving demonstration on a floor loom for the Weavers Guild booth. And I just think it's amazing that you can just learn something, be so passionate about something, and then turn around and want to share that with everybody, like through demonstrations, through posting these things, through sharing with people who might also be interested in becoming weavers. So I'm just really excited for you, Cindy. I mean, congratulations on having the courage to enter. I think it's amazing, and then for also sharing your love with everyone else. So thank you for sharing all of that. The next one I wanted to share with you guys is, the hand-carded Rolex that Emily has made. From these 5 colors, we have our primary colors, yellow, blue, red, white, and black. And then she has made all of these Rolex. They are so pretty, but you can definitely see that when you, she did mention that it's really interesting how the black and the white, black or white or both, made the colors more interesting. So they add more depth when you're able to take something like the blue and then add a little bit of black to it, or the blue with a little bit of red and a little bit of black to it. Like these are all, they become so interesting. Like yellow, maybe a little bit of red, and then a little bit of black that made that color. Just a lot of variety from just 5 colors. So this is the before and this is after. It kind of confirms that you don't necessarily have to buy every single color in the world. And especially with dyeing too, you don't need to buy every color dye that is offered by a manufacturer. You can buy a handful, your primary colors and some neutral colors. And then you just blend. You create your own palette from the tools and materials that you have. Either you blend together dye colors to get the color that you want, or you dye it in fiber like this, and then you just blend it together until you get the colors that you want. I think this is amazing. The other thing that I think that is amazing about all of this is that hand carding, you don't need a ton of fiber. We're not talking about like, a drum carder that is extremely expensive. You're not talking about making 100-gram bat of anything or a 4-ounce bat of anything. you're literally talking about like 5 grams of this and 5 grams of this, and I card it together and then see what happens. Do I like it? If I like it, then I can extrapolate. If I don't like it, then it's just 5 or 10 grams and I can make it into a thing that I will become something else. But in any case, I think it's a great way to be able to test and sample and sample and sample and sample and see what you like to get to the place that you want to be. Yes. So Greta is saying a roll lag between 2 to 3 grams is enough fiber for hand cards. Yes. 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 So Bridget is mentioning these colorful, colorful online puzzles. I think our team has been taken over by this colorful. It was kind of like, what was that word game that everybody was playing? Wordle? I think it was Wordle. Now it's colorful. So in any case, there's an online game for color if you'd like that. Yes, fantastic. So that is the last project that I wanted to share for today. And then, as always, we do our giveaway. So our giveaway link is here, live Aug 2023. If you go to this link, we really encourage you to just fill out the information. It basically is just 2 questions. It's typically asking you, what did you find useful about these live office hour sessions? And then number 2 is, what would you put into practice moving forward? We really do want to see people take action and, start projects, work through their projects, finish projects, all of that kind of stuff. So anything that we can do to change these sessions to make them more useful to you, I am always open to feedback. So that is where the giveaway link is. And basically all of those entries, we will pick a winner and then send you a prize. And this month's prize is going to be 1 skein of the SweetGeorgia Tough Love sock yarn in the new Enigma colorways that we've just launched. So they're the fall, deep saturated, much more vibrant, saturated kind of colors that are coming out this fall. And so those are in preparation for Socktober, in case you want to make a sock out of them, or you can combine it with something else and make a shawl or something like that. But basically the winner will get one of those projects. Yes, fantastic. So that is basically all we had for today. I would love to hear if you guys have any questions in the chat, if there's anything that I missed in the chat that I missed and didn't see. But absolutely, if you guys have any questions you want to ask, or you can always find us in Discord. You can find us on the community forums. Just very excited for a lot of things, the way that the school is growing and evolving over these past 6 years. I think it has been amazing. Now to be able to be at a point where we can say we have 100 classes in our library that we can share with you. We have months and months and months, years of live office hour sessions and crafternoon sessions and all these projects that are in the community forums, people sharing photos. It has just been incredible to see how this has all grown and meeting all these people. Like, meeting all these people that are in the chat, meeting them in real life has been absolutely amazing. And so if you've just joined the community here, if you've just become a member of the school, I thank you for being here. I just think it's a wonderful place to meet people who love the same thing that you love, and to be able to share and learn and learn from each other. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being here today. And with that, I will see you guys inside the school or on Discord. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'll see you in the next one next month. Bye.